In this world, is the destiny of mankind controlled by some transcendental entity or law? Is it like the hand of God hovering above? At least it is true that man has no control, even over his own will.
So you want to get into Berserk. Well, as happy as I am about that, I must warn you to take heed. From now on, your life will consist of pain, torment, struggle, and an endless wait for new content. But you may also find yourself inspired, motivated, and ready to attack the world with a newfound appreciation for life and your own circumstances within it. After all, it's not like you'll have to spend every single night unable to sleep battling literal demons. I can't say anything about your inner demons though, but that part's on you. This video is basically going to be an introductory video for anybody who is either a new Berserk fan or just wants to get into the series in general, specifically with the anime. And I already know what you're going to comment below. Don't watch the anime, just read the manga. And look, I agree with you. In order to get the full experience of what Berserk has to offer, you have to read the manga. There's no shortcuts about it. But I know there are many people out there that have an interest in the story, that have either never read manga before, or are just more interested in being able to watch something as opposed to read it, or are just more anime-centric people. And instead of missing out on Berserk entirely, I can at least give you a little bit of guidance and a breakdown on the various anime versions, and how I think that you should approach them. So consider this the Berserk video for the anime-onlys out there, and as we lure them in, we can slowly fuel their interest into getting into the manga. So yeah, Berserk is a dark fantasy seinen series created by Kentaro Miura, and first began publication in 1989, and is still ongoing to this day. And though it is a very long-running series, it is currently sitting at only 363 chapters, and has yet to be completed. The most notorious complaint about the manga is the wait time in between chapters, as it does take a while for Miura to draw all of the details and finally get it released for us. But through a few Miura interviews and fan speculation, most people tend to think that the story is about 75% done, so there's that at least. The story follows the life of our main protagonist, Guts, who undoubtedly has one of the darkest and most brutal existences in all of fiction, and how he continues to press on and battle the many opposing forces within his path that range from humans on a war-torn battlefield, to fantasy-type creatures like ogres and trolls, to haunting restless spirits, to demonic entities called apostles that can transform into gigantic monstrous creatures straight from your darkest nightmare. However, along with that, Berserk also tackles very poignant adult themes like overcoming trauma, battling against your shadow self and your inner darkest desires, choosing your own path in life, the importance of having a purpose and a dream to strive for, and how connections with other people can open us up and change us forever. But there is also a bit of a trigger warning when it comes to Berserk, and that is, it is without question a series for adults and contains much graphic and detailed violence, as well as disturbing sexual situations, including rape. Now, I will say that people blow out of proportion the amount of these things that can be at hand here, but when it does happen, it can leave you feeling extremely uncomfortable and disturbed, which is kind of the intention of the scenes. It's a series that if you are unprepared for it, will completely knock you on your ass and never apologize for it. So if you want happiness and lollipops, this is not going to be the series for you. So if you're looking to get into it through the anime, there are a few different roads to take. And yes, once again, I would say that if you don't read the manga, you will be missing out on a ton of story, and there's no getting around that. The manga tells it in the correct order with the artistic flair that can only be given to you with how the black on white images come across on the page. Miura uses the medium of manga to its fullest extent, using sweeping double page spreads that really put you into a feeling and emotion while reading. The heavy, intricate detail and the deeper aspects of the story can only be given to you in this way, at least for now. So when it comes to the anime, you essentially have three options. The first being a 25-episode Berserk series released in 1997, the second being an anime film trilogy released in 2012, and the third being a 24-episode series released in 2016. So let's break this down one by one as you can figure out what would be the best one for you. First, let's tackle the 1997 anime. If you're talking about Berserk anime adaptations, this is the one that you're going to hear the most amount of praise from. Produced by Oriental Light and Magic, this 25-episode series covers what is known as the Golden Age arc of Berserk. Like every other manga or anime, Berserk is broken down into different arcs within its story. Currently in the manga, we have, in order, the Black Swordsman arc, the Golden Age arc, the Conviction arc, the Hawk of the Millennium Empire arc, and the Fantasia arc. Berserk 97 starts with episode 1 basically doing a very quick and condensed version of the first chapter of the manga, which is within the Black Swordsman arc. And then from episode 2 to 25, it completely encapsulates the Golden Age arc. And what the Golden Age arc is basically, in a very quick, blunt way to describe it, a really long backstory for understanding the entire rest of the Berserk series. The Golden Age arc goes from volume 4 to 13 of the manga, and is where the story reflects on the past and shows you the journey of Guts from his childhood all the way into what he would become as a vengeful demon hunter as showcased in the first episode. I would say in order to understand Berserk as a story, the Golden Age arc is, of course, the most crucial, and you get the entire story of Guts, Griffith, and Casca, our three main characters, and everything that they go through within their mercenary band, the Band of the Hawk, and what leads to the dark, twisted, climactic ending within the few final episodes. Berserk fans will recommend this anime the most because of a few reasons. I'd say first off, it does a really good job just telling the story of the Golden Age arc. The pacing is well done, you get a good grasp of the concepts, the themes, and the characters, and the direction of where the story is going. The animation itself might seem dated now, but it is in a traditional 90s hand-drawn style, which I personally really like the aesthetic of. No, it doesn't capture Miura's artwork in the manga, but I still think it does a really great job representing everything from the armor to the castles to the demons and everything in between. It also contains an amazing soundtrack by Susumu Hirasawa, and if anything, most fans tend to agree that this is the soundtrack and that it is unmatched and has been synonymous with Berserk ever since. Not just with the anime, but just Berserk in general. It's fantastic and fits the mood and tone of the series perfectly.
But my light isn't to be seen among them. Still, after all this time, it seems that I'm just someone who stopped to warm himself at the bonfire in passing.
The downside to the 97 version comes with the very nature of it only being 25 episodes and only covering one arc of the series. Not to mention, episode 25 ends in a spot that, if you choose not to continue Berserk in any other way, will probably piss you off and have you screaming at the screen in front of you. There's also the fact that the animation was low budget for its time, and there are moments where you will be only looking at painted backgrounds and images over music, or a character may be stunted in their movements. I think the team behind the anime did a great job at covering the imperfections with solid artistic choices, but you will probably still notice that it was a very low budget series. And the biggest gripe of the 97 anime is that, well, despite covering the entire Golden Age arc, they still cut a lot of important things out from the manga. Without spoilers, I'll just say that there are some extremely significant chapters called Wounds, which happen to be my favorite chapters in the entire series, that are not included in the anime. This could be because there's a heavy sexual component to those chapters, and even though the anime is for adults, I'm sure there's some things that they still had plenty of restrictions on when it came to what they were allowed to animate. There are also important characters and events that are completely missing, like Volume 11 of the manga is omitted entirely, along with a fan-favorite character that is meant to interact with Guts and give him some warning as to upcoming events that are going to happen to him, completely gone. Overall, it is an enjoyable watch, and I would agree that it's the best choice for watching Berserk in anime form, but you're only getting about 1/4 of the story, and even within that 1/4, there is plenty missing. The next option you have is the 2012 movie trilogy called the Golden Age Arc Trilogy, which have 3 movies called The Egg of the King, The Battle of Doldry, and The Advent. And this movie trilogy, as it's titled, adapts the same arc from the 1997 anime. It's not a continuation, and it's not within canon, it's a complete redo of the same storyline. So what are the pros and cons of choosing this version as opposed to the 97 version? Well, I will say this. The film trilogy is a really kind of mixed bag of stuff. As for the 97, where I can offer a lot of positives, this one is kind of hit or miss. Some fans absolutely hate this version, some really love it, and what's really funny is this was my introduction to Berserk. Yeah, I saw the 2012 movies first, and honestly, I don't regret the experience. Since I didn't know what I was missing or where the story was going, I just enjoyed watching the movies all the way through. It was only after I had read the manga that I realized what a missed opportunity these movies were. Obviously, since this came out in 2012, the animation is a lot more reminiscent to the newer style of anime, and for the most part, it looks very clean and fluid. The animation is at a much higher budget. There were a lot of great moments and shots told through the story visually. Susumu Hirasawa also works on the music again with Shiro Sugisu. I don't know if I pronounced that name right, but he's better known for his work on Evangelion. So the music is still pretty phenomenal through and through, though it's missing the more atmospheric tracks from the 97 version. The best praise that I can give it is that the third and final movie in the trilogy is very, very well done, and gives you a bit more resolution than you get from the 97 version. It still leaves on a cliffhanger, but not as much of a dramatic one, and gives you a little bit more closure. Since this is a movie trilogy though, and not a series, it's a much faster telling of the Golden Age arc than the 97. And this is kind of a detriment, to be honest. It's basically like the Spark Notes version. Things happen so quick and it constantly picks up the pace in order to move on to the next scene, and to the next one, and to the next one. And the thing that bothers me is they actually do include some things that were left out of the 97 anime. Not the wounds chapters, of course, those are still not here. But with the inclusion of the scenes not in the 97, they also omit scenes that were in the 97. So basically what you have is two versions of the same storyline, both cutting out different scenes in order to tell its story. So if you don't read the manga, you would have to watch both the 97 and the 2012 in order to get as much information about this arc as you could, and yet you would still be missing some parts. Now you also have the issue of some bad CGI. And I don't think it's so bad that it ruins the trilogy, but there are some cringy moments within it. Thankfully, it's mostly within the first movie, and movie 2 and 3 I would say are a good 85% 2D animation that looks really good, with only about 15% CGI. I have no idea why they decided to mix the two, but after the next anime example, you'll be thankful for the little amount that's in the trilogy here. But in conclusion, I would say that the 2012 version, if you want a quick, bare bones telling of the Golden Age arc as well as some good animation and a great climactic ending, or if you just want to see the missing bits that you didn't get from the 97, it's probably a good way to go. And finally, we have Berserk 2016, also known as Berserk 2017 because there were 2 seasons, one from each year, but we're just going to call it 2016. This was produced by Studio Gemba, and it's its first big production, meant to be a telling of the Conviction arc and then into the Millennium Empire arc, taking place chronologically after the Golden Age arc, and meant to be a low-key continuation of the 2012 movies. So if you had to place this within a canon, it lines up with the movie version, not the 97 version. Not that you would be able to tell, because they decided to go with an almost completely CGI animation style, and it just looks awful. Like a serious abomination on all that is holy. It is not just off-putting aesthetically, I mean the animation itself is awful. It's stunted, it's awkward, the camera angles make no sense, there's no fluidity to the movement of the characters look flat and emotionless, there's no sense of weight behind their movements, there's shots of the characters upside down for no reason, impossible to follow camera movements, and stunted animation to the point where it looks like a cutscene from an N64 video game. Not the kind of graphics that you want in a 2016 anime, especially with a Berserk one, because you're adapting some of the most beautiful and detailed artwork in the manga medium to begin with, and turning it into this. Also, somehow a gigantic iron sword makes this sound. But okay. If you can get past the animation, it does, at the very least, follow the storyline of Berserk after the Golden Age arc accurately, minus skipping over completely one of the most important segments of the Conviction arc for Guts' character called the Lost Children chapters. There's an entire piece of the storyline missing, including a fan-favorite antagonist, and one of the best fights in the entire series also, and a very crucial piece of the story for the progression of Guts as a character. It's completely gone, it's not animated at all. Things are also misplaced, characters are introduced at the wrong times, and scenes are included that weren't even in the manga and don't need to be here in the first place. But admittedly, that's just in the first few episodes. After about episode 3 or 4, it gets on track and follows the manga story from about volume 17 to volume 27. So about 10 volumes worth of content over the course of 24 episodes. I attempted to watch this version and I only got about 10 or 11 episodes in. I honestly never finished it. The animation is legitimately so bad that I just couldn't look at it anymore. But if you absolutely refuse to read the manga, and you've watched one of the Golden Age arc anime and you want to know what happens next, knowing full well an entire segment is cut out and that you will have to sit through piss-poor CGI animation, you will at the very least get the storyline about 2/3 of the Conviction arc and the first half of the Millennium Empire arc. Yes, this anime also leaves off on a cliffhanger, once again as it was cancelled after Season 2. I'm surprised it got that far, to be honest, but it means that there is yet another incomplete anime for Berserk, and this time it even ends in the middle of an arc, so you'll be left feeling arguably even more empty than with the ending of the other versions. Yeah, if you can't tell, I don't really like this version. And that has been it for proper Berserk adaptations thus far, and it's kind of disheartening to see one of the greatest, if not the greatest manga of our generation, unable to have a proper adaptation that starts at the beginning and goes all the way through, not skipping any moment. The Black Swordsman arc has yet to be animated in any way other than episode 1 of the 97 series. Millennium Empire only got half finished, and no one has even gotten far enough to touch Fantasia yet. There has been talk and rumors about trying it again from various places on the internet, but there's been no official source to ever confirm this. So just ignore anything that you hear unless it comes from someplace that you can trust. I remember last year people were talking about 2016 getting a Season 3, and it was just BS. It was from one of those stupid comicbook.com clickbait article sites, you know what I'm talking about. And there's also a lot of people that wanted the guys from Castlevania on Netflix to do Berserk, but they only mentioned being fans of the series and that it would be really cool to do. There's been no official announcement about such thing or the rights being transferred over or anything like that. And in my personal opinion, I don't really want them doing it anyway. In fact, if I had to recommend anything else, it would actually be the Berserk motion comic on YouTube by channel studio Taka. They've been doing a great job taking the manga itself and turning it into an animation, adding music and great voice acting to go along with it, and actually starting at the beginning of the manga and doing the story forward. So technically, it's the only faithful Black Swordsman arc adaptation yet. Seriously, the dudes at Studio Taka are super talented and you should check them out. I'll put a link to their video down in the description below. But I hope this gives you a decent breakdown should you choose to get into Berserk through the anime. Again, I would highly recommend the manga, but I understand not everybody is into manga. Some people just like anime more, and some people can only connect to things in specific ways. I'm not an elitist in any way, and look, even if I don't like Berserk 2016, and I would advise staying away from it, I would not count you as any less of a Berserk fan if you like it, or if that's how you chose to experience it. We are all here for Guts' struggle against fate, and if you like Berserk, you're a Berserk fan, regardless of how you like it or where you like it from or how you choose to watch the story. I will always tell you to read the manga for the full story and that you are missing out by not reading it, but I still consider you on my team. So choose your fate, choose your destiny, choose the anime that's right for you, or none at all, and struggle on, my fellow strugglers. Anyways, thank you for watching this video, guys. I hope this helps. I hope this maybe helps you make a decision as to what anime version you want to watch. And if you have seen all three, or if you just want to tell me your favorite version or the version that you watched down below, which Berserk anime adaptation would you recommend? In what order would you recommend watching them? And tell me what you think about the Berserk anime. Other than that, guys, I thank you a lot for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate all the support, the likes, the comments, and everything that I get on every single video. I definitely don't take it for granted, and I really, truly do appreciate it and being able to create these videos for you guys. So yeah, let me know if you liked the video, give it a like, thumbs up, comment, check the description below for my Twitter, Instagram, Patreon links and all that, as well as the link to the Studio Taka video. And other than that, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you next time.